Viewers, you're watching the Policy Times, and I am your host Akram. We are here at the embassy of Guatemala. Guatemala is a Central American economy, country, nation. It's a very old civilization which got independence in 1821, and it has been doing well. There has been trials and tribulation in terms of establishing democratic values in the country, but the country is standing tall with all of its success in the economic front, in the civilizational front. So we have, there is no better person to represent the country in India than the Excellency, the ambassador of the Guatemala. We would like to know from him actually how, what the country is, the beauty and the opportunities in the country, and how to take the relationship forward under his leadership. So Excellency, thank you so much for giving us the interview. First, kindly introduce the beauty and opportunity of Guatemala to the people of India.
Okay. First of all, please allow me to express my gratitude to give me this opportunity to share with all your viewers what Guatemala has to offer to India. I can start by saying that we are a young embassy since we opened the embassy in 2013. So that means that only 6 years have been present in India. But I do believe that it has been a very productive time. Guatemala, as you mentioned, is in Central America, is the largest and the biggest country in the whole region of Central America. And we promote ourselves in different fields. What I would like to say is that being in India is a good possibility to start working from a strong base at the cultural and touristic level.
Right.
Why? Because you may agree that if you want to do business with some country, you need to know where that country is, what that country has to offer. And I can tell you that if you ask, let's say 10 Indians, where Guatemala is, probably 3 or at most 5 of them will say the right answer, which is Central American region.
Right.
And the same happened to the Guatemalans. If you ask to some
Absolutely.
Guatemalans, they will say, oh yes, India. But we know India because of its curry, because of yoga, because Gandhi. But if I go to them and I ask them, what about, do you know Patanjali? Can you tell me something about Aurobindo? Can you say something about Ravi Shankar? They will say probably no.
Absolutely.
So what I'm trying to say, Akram, is that our strong base as an embassy is start working at the cultural and touristic level.
Brilliant.
But parallel to that, we do also have a strong agenda in the commercial and political field.
Excellent. I mean, the first point actually for any relationship starts with tourism and cultural cooperation, because that's where people start knowing each other. Excellency, you have been in India for a couple of years. You saw the rise of India, the kind of strong leadership we have, the political leadership and political commitment. Today, the country has come up with a budget. The current government has come up with a budget which has set a very high expected growth path for this country. Apart from tourism and cooperation, what has been the areas you have been working and how successfully you are working, seeing the growth of India, to what level we can take the relationship forward?
We have seen that India have shown some interest in Latin American and Caribbean region.
Right.
And this, to me, I believe is a good opportunity. Even the trade between Guatemala and India is doing well in favor of India, I will say. The Guatemalans also have this possibility to start looking to the Indian market. Right. So I believe that as much India can offer the possibility to start some business between Guatemala entrepreneurs, that will be a good possibility to be in. But again, I have to say that Guatemalans need to start looking to India. Guatemalans entrepreneurs and Also from the official part at the government level, they start looking more into the Indian side. I'm talking about bilateral level.
Right.
Multilateral level, our strong relation has been for many years back.
Right.
So we don't have that situation at the multilateral level. We have supported each other, different candidacy in different photos.
Right.
But at the bilateral level, again, I have to say that we have to start working on a strong basis, looking for opportunities to the Guatemalan goods into the Indian market.
Absolutely. Excellency, I have interviewed other ambassadors and excellencies from different countries in the Latin America and Central America region. One of the two core challenges that arrives when it comes to India and bilateral relation is the physical distance and the time difference. Now, time difference is something that we can't do anything. But the physical distance is one of the core issues that is creating problem. That if we can solve that problem, perhaps we can increase not only the trade but also people to people engagement between this. Do you have some direct flights connectivity or plans, proposals in coming forward in the coming future?
Guatemala does not have flights, direct flights with India. But the Central American region is a possibility to have something. I will speak about El Salvador. El Salvador is next, is neighbor country from Guatemala. El Salvador, they have a strong alliance with a Colombian airline, which is called Avianca. And they are in the possibility to do something probably in the near future. But again, this is a consortium, this is a big enterprise in El Salvador, and also with some Colombian entrepreneurs. So right. I think they need to start working on it. But Guatemala, I have to say no. I mean, if we want to go to Guatemala, we go through Europe or through United States.
Right. That's quite difficult, seeing it from today's point of view. There are certain regional issues in the Latin America if we talk about. Recently, we were reading a lot of the newspaper is full with the news that immigration is a big problem in that continent. And I think a lot of countries, a lot of people are using Guatemala as a route to enter into Mexico or America. So there are some strong initiatives being taken of the country also by this. So immigration is one issue globally. I mean, whether it is Europe, which is suffering from immigration issues, whether it is the other countries. Now America has a very strong president, and he is extremely, there are certain areas he is very vocal and upfront, including the issue of immigration and protectionism. What is the reaction or response of Latin American countries, especially Guatemala, against a country or a president like Trump?
We have conformed the North Central American Triangle, which is three countries, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras. From that base, we're working together in order to control the migration. Right. Also, Mexico has recently issued an initiative to these three countries that I was just mentioned, in order to promote more projects in these three countries. Right. But I have to be clear, the migration of these countries parts from a different perspective. Guatemala, for example, yes, we do have migrants looking always going to United States, right. But mainly because of the lacks of opportunities in Guatemala. Naturally. But in El Salvador, in Honduras, another stories happens. They migrate mainly because of the violence of the countries. So what do we need, and this is an open call to the Indian side, what do we need is investment. Absolutely. That's what we believe it can help us to let the people stay in our country, not to travel north part of the hemisphere.
At the international front, what is the kind of global leadership? G20, we saw the G20 summit happening, and America is the only country which stood separately when it comes to a deal on climate change. The other countries are still trying to find, unity within, so that it can address some global issues. Climate change is a global issue the world is suffering from, and if we unitedly don't act positively, many of the countries, especially the poor countries, are going to suffer. Terrorism is a common problem of the world. Some countries are using business out of terrorism, some are using terrorism as their political propaganda. But terrorism at any form is a big issue for the world. The other issues are agriculture. I mean, we need food security, agriculture is a big issue. Immigration is another issue. These are global issues which whether we like or not, but we need solutions. And only when all the countries, especially the bigger ones, stand together, we can find problems. What is your response or understanding and view on this global development agenda, and how the global organizations like World Bank, IMF, or WTO are functioning? What kind of support from the Guatemala's point of view should we expect from these international organizations?
Guatemala, as a small country, always works together as a region between the SICA. SICA is the Central American Integration System, right? So we always promote together some initiatives, some policies, trying always to find out some solution, trying to give some ideas to the rest of the world what to do. Central America is a region that probably is one of the most regions that has to deal with climate changes.
Right.
So therefore our initiatives are always on the table, looking forward to convince the big countries,
Right.
like you mentioned, in order to deal with that situation to benefit our small nations.
Right. Last question, Excellency. In your leadership as ambassador to India, what are the kind of companies or investment that, or companies you want to actually invest in Guatemala? And what are the sectors other than tourism and people-to-people cooperation will you work in your next time of tenure you are in India?
A good question. I was precisely preparing myself with some figures about
Right.
What kind of investment India has done in Guatemala. And I have seen that mainly the pharmaceuticals are in there.
Okay.
Being India a big country and specialized in the pharma sector, I do believe that we still some opportunities to offer to the Indian pharmacy. But besides that, also some entrepreneurs, Indian entrepreneurs that are willing to invest in Guatemala in the project sector, public and private sector. That will be a good opportunity. Also, we have some niches that may be of interest of the Indian businessman, which has to deal with agriculture, for example, agriculture, the tourism sector as well. We were just talking with you, mentioned previously about the tourism sector, how do I promote the tourism? But I have to say something which is interesting. Why do we still thinking as Guatemalans to promote Guatemala in India?
Right.
Of course, there is an importance to do that. But we don't have to forget that you guys have a big diaspora in the United States.
Absolutely.
So why don't we focus in that diaspora? And that could be a good possibility. First. Second, the idea to promote some exchange between the chambers of tourism in Guatemala or agencies in Guatemala and in India to start working in that kind of relation.
Right.
If you guys can offer us a possibility to give us some ideas or trips or packages for Guatemalans to come to India, Guatemala can do the same as well. Because I have to say that India has been for a few years already in the Guatemalans' mind. Everybody wants to come to India to experience the yoga,
Wow,
to experience this mystical way of living in India.
Right.
So I will say that probably that is a good opportunity also to look into it, the investment of the tourism sector for Indians specialized in Guatemala.
Excellent. So any other points, Excellency? Okay then.
No, no, thank you so much. Just I do really appreciate. We are trying to do our best in India as an embassy of Guatemala, and we always will be open for any discussion that you may think will be helpful to in case a relationship.
Absolutely. And we as Policy Times, we have this priority that we want to strengthen India's relation with the countries like Guatemala, and so that we can explore a lot of opportunities. So as Excellency just quickly summarized, so tourism is definitely one of the core areas that the Excellency is looking forward to promote between the two countries, because when we promote, when our people exchange more and more, that's where we actually identify more opportunities. Then the Excellency identify that agriculture, investment, and these are areas we can work together. So thank you. Keep watching the Policy Times.